Because when it comes with the waterworks, especially, because if they think, oh, how do you sleep knowing that you're in them over with, and when all that kind of stuff goes out, you instantly feel uncomfortable because it's your desire to provide and protect. And you feel you're violating that. Therefore, now you have this shame and this guilt that is not warranted because she got you in the game. Learn the rules, play to win, grow, provide for your family, and bring that vision to fruition that they might not even see. They're not the leaders anyway. Warning, viewer discretion is advised. The content, views, and educational material you are about to experience could challenge your belief, trigger strong emotions, and frankly, piss you off. This isn't for everyone. If you're not ready to confront new ideas, or if your feelings bruise easily, this might be the time to click away. Expect to be challenged, to think, and you might even want to scream at the screen. Proceed with caution, and remember, you chose to be here. Let's get it. Sloan leg of peace. I'm Coach Nazir, one of the founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships and one of the authors of the book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored, with my wives, coaches, Fatimah and Nyla. Yeah, practice polygyny. Now, with that being said, here's the deal. Men, emotional resilience is a strength that you must build. Women, emotional manipulation is a tactic that you must stop. That's really the topic of today's video. I'm going to go into a little bit of what I share in the book. And just know that this is not necessarily a fun video. It is an educational video that is going to expose some things and try and save some people's marriages because they are destroying them inadvertently, thinking it's being cute and it's causing problems. And also, for men who jump on the defensive, teach you how to man up. With that being said, here's the deal. I belong to a number of different groups. I talk about polygyny all the time. I educate people. It is what it is. It's what I do. I help men get their shit together, in particular, especially so that they can separate from the mediocre masses and become more. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to emotional intelligence, I would venture to say that women have a stronger advantage than men, generally speaking, especially when it comes to techniques and strategies when it comes to emotional manipulation. This is what I mean. While we were playing with Tonka trucks and toys and video games and jumping on jungle gyms and playing sports, gentlemen, women were likely doing other things. Even though some of them might have been playing some video games and might have been playing with trucks and on jungle gyms, they spent more of their time doing other stuff. Playing with dolls, having babies, changing them, so on and so forth, but having this dialogue, this internal conversation between either like a male doll and a female doll or a family, whatever it may be, whatever situation they've seen, and emulated, whether it's in the home, outside of the home, in schools or whatever, but they had a lot more time speaking and being able to really hone that skill and wield it as a weapon many times, unfortunately, like it's stuff like in Mean Girls or Clueless or whatever, if you think about different types of shows. And it's evident, especially when it comes to men who are locked up or even buried, who have acted on information or the perusing or encouragement of women, for example, and destroyed their lives. Now, that does not mean all women, one way or other, but it does mean that men, you're lacking when it comes to this area. How do I know? Because I was as well. Hence, this educational video. So let me share with you something. I'm gonna read something from one of these groups that somebody posted anonymously, of course, and I wanna post it on the screen. I want you to read it along with me and see how many emotional manipulation techniques you find. And then I'll share with you how many I found. And I'll also share with you how to respond to it, gentlemen, and also give you a warning, ladies, if you want to keep a healthy marriage or you want to be on the good side and continue being desirable to your husband, to watch out for, because learning what not to do many times is just as important and sometimes more important than learning what to do. So let's get to it. Here it is. I have a question for the husbands in polygyny with young children. How do you justify leaving your first wife with babies to manage all alone while you're out gallivanting with your new found love interest? How do you sleep knowing the first wife is exhausted and overwhelmed from taking care of the children you helped create so that you can spend time with another woman? I'm just trying to see how men's minds operate. Do men lack empathy? How many emotional manipulation tactics did you find? How many triggering words are in this? Now, I will venture to say it took her probably less than a minute to write it, which in my mind will make her a master. She knows her craft. Whether or not she's aware of it, so far as how many different tactics she used or not, doesn't really matter. It just lets you know she's a master. Now, that should have been enough time for you to count how many you found. I found 5. Yep, 5 techniques. And I'm gonna share with you what they are, the reasoning behind it, but also, gentlemen, how to respond to such foolishness. So if you don't have something to take notes with, I'd encourage you to do that. Okay, the first tactic is one of the most common. That's called guilt. Sometimes we call it guilt tripping. You want a man to go on a guilt trip and feel a certain way. See, these emotional manipulation tactics are designed to elicit a specific emotion of discomfort or, a feeling that's just on the inside of you, gentlemen. You need to be aware of this, all right? And many times we don't know how to accurately articulate what it is and end up on the defensive, falling right for the trap. Don't do that. All right, do not do that. Do not lose your power and allow this to happen. So guilting, what does that mean? And where did it come from? Well, let's go to the very first part of this post. She says, how do you justify leaving your first wife with babies to manage all alone? Guilting. So the purpose of this tactic is this. She is trying to make you feel guilty and ashamed by implying that you are abandoning your responsibilities as a husband and a father. And she's intending or likely trying to make you feel remorseful or regretful for whatever reason. They're trying to elicit those emotions from you. And then if you have those emotions, you behave in a certain way. See, when someone has the ability to push your buttons, they have the power. But you as a man, as a leader, as someone who's supposed to remain stoic in these situations, sometimes we don't know what to do when this is coming from someone that we've told, that we proposed to, that we married, that we promised to protect and provide. But now this very person is throwing all that to the side and using it as a weapon. So what is the response? Don't worry, wait till the end of the video. I'm gonna share with you for each one of these areas. So what was the second emotional manipulation tactic? Did you catch that one? This is extremely common also. I mean, they're kind of tit for tat, especially these first two. The second one was contained in that same sentence. While you're out gallivanting with your newfound love interest. Gallivanting? Let me ask you, when was the last time you used that word? When do you think she used that word last? Gallivanting. See, when I think of gallivanting, I think of horses, horse and carriage trotting around somewhere and all over the place, right? Well, let me give you one of the definitions officially for gallivanting. To visit or go to a lot of different places, enjoying yourself and not worrying about other things you should be doing. Great use of the word to try and elicit something from you, right? But here's the thing about what she's intending to do with shame. She's trying to paint what you're doing as, again, frivolous, irresponsible, immature, and that in turn means you're not a good provider and protector, something that you're raised and taught to be as a man. Shaming. So how do you respond? Wait to the end. Again, I'm going to get into each of those. So what is the third technique she used here? Again, this is a master you're dealing with. What is the third technique that she used? I gave you a second. You get it? It's the loaded question. It's the loaded question. So what's the question? How do you sleep at night? Now, again, I'm saying it in a basic way with a little bit of emotion. Now, if she really wants to top it off, speaking auditorily, then she would be doing something like holding their breath like, well, how do you sleep at night? And they use this type of slow, shallow breathing with no tears coming down. And we see that with a lot of Karens. And we as husbands, we don't want to see our wives feel uncomfortable. So many times we capitulate to that type of behavior so that they can feel comfortable, and then we feel guilt or shame as though we're doing something wrong. Keep in mind, she said she's the first wife, which infers that he has multiple wives, let's say at least 2. So these are wives. Notice the love interest, not even a respect. to call her another wife because she knows the rules and the respect that is given to a wife, but she chooses not to see her as such or even address that. Nevertheless, let's get to this third emotional manipulation tactic. How do you sleep knowing the first wife is exhausted, overwhelmed from taking care of the children you helped create? Did you really need to be reminded that you helped create it when you were gallivanting with her? You did need to be reminded of that. Again, she's a master though. Now, what is the point of asking this type of question? She's attempting to trap you with a question that presumes you are neglecting your family, right? Forcing you to a defensive position where you have to justify your behavior based on her flawed assumption. Did you catch the fourth emotional manipulation tactic? It's captured in this statement. Leaving your first wife so that you can spend time with another woman. Notice that subtle disrespect also. Again, not addressing her as a wife, but spend time with another woman. She wants to present an either-or situation. See, you are either spending time with your family or you're abandoning and neglecting your responsibilities. That's the purpose of this one. And this is called a false dichotomy. Telling you she's a master. What's the fifth emotional manipulation technique? This is the one that many of us call, oh, you're crying that you're a victim. You've been victimized. She says, after, she's just trying to figure out the minds of men. Yeah, it really sounds like it with the language, right? But skip that part. That's not included. But she just says what? Do men lack empathy? As though we're some imbeciles. It is what it is. Like, we can't figure things out. We have no feelings, none of this. Do men lack empathy as though, okay, we just retarded? All right, do we lack empathy? She's a victim. This is the questioning your roles as though you have no idea or ability of your responsibility to protect and provide, to take care of your family, to be available, and so on and so forth. Again, this is not for bums. Polygyny is for exceptional men, those who raise above the mediocre masses, those who know, hey, I need to deal with my emotional resilience and step it up. What is the purpose of this? She wants to question your emotional capacity to make it seem as though you're uncaring, you lack understanding, and you are willfully neglecting your responsibility as husband and father. Don't go into the defensive with any of these things if you are a wise man or you desire to be wise. Now, women, here's my thing for you. Don't be her. Don't be her. I'm going to share with you how men spell love. They spell love R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Just like the song. That's how we spell love. See, it's very important on a man's hierarchy when it comes to respect. And this entire thing, even if a man cannot break down the 5 different specific emotional manipulation techniques, what he will say to me is that you're being disrespectful. That this is disrespectful. And guess what? It is. It plants a seed of resentment. If you think that this is going to be something that he's going to just not feel and not feel a certain way about the person he's protecting and providing for, has made a good life for, who's questioning him and throwing these things up here because you're superior at that, and that's not going to plant a seed that can lead to bad feelings, resentment, and ultimate dissolution of even your marriage. Just know that disrespect isn't easy to come back from, I should say. And that breaks the level of trust between who you're supposed to be as that support, helpmate, if you will, to your husband, the same man that you look to as a leader, somebody being assertive versus trying to make him a follower. So now we come to the proper responses. How does a wise man respond to practice polygyny? How does he respond without being overly emotional, without being disrespectful, without stooping to the same level? Basically, as a man that's leading his family, as a man that's on a mission, has a vision, is practicing polygyny. How do you respond that way, Coach Nazir? Or what is the best responses? This is what I would say. When it comes to the first one, guilt. Remember what she said, right? Well, here's a good response versus reacting. See, there's the reaction and there's the response. And you can easily understand this when you think about a doctor. A doctor may say, how's the person responding to medicine? Versus, oh, the person has had a reaction to the medicine. Reaction, uncontrolled, that's a problem. Response, you choose how to do that in a stoic and a masculine fashion. Okay? Very important. So, how do you respond to guilt? First, call it out. You don't have to call everything out, bro. You're going to call it out to nip that mug in the bud from the beginning. All right, call it out. You're going to call it out. This is how you're going to do it. I see what you're trying to do by trying to play on guilt, but let's be clear. I'm fulfilling my responsibilities as a husband and father in both relationships. Just because you're feeling overwhelmed on something does not mean I'm neglecting my responsibilities. Now, if you want to talk about this and come to a solution, no problem. Let's just throw the guilt card to the side. That's respectful. It's to the point. It's calling it out. It's letting her know you are aware of the game she's trying to play, and you're not going to allow it. The moment you allow it, it becomes a crack in your relationship or an expansion of a crack in your relationship. And it will continue to go the more you allow these types of things to slide. So what about shame? All right, again, they tit for tat, guilt and shaming, guilt and shaming, guilt and shaming, especially in a society that loves to wave the rainbow flag and love is love until it comes to polygyny. So what do you do about shame, though, Coach Nazir? What would you say a good response is for this tactic that she put? Using words like gallivanting is simply your attempt to dismiss what I'm doing as irresponsible. I don't respond to shaming tactics. What I'm doing is not reckless. I handle my obligations in both families well and responsibly. Now, if you want to have a conversation and come to some solutions, no problem. But drop the insults and let's find a solution. That's shaming. That's how to handle it in a masculine way without losing your integrity, without going on the defensive and jumping into the BS. Because there's no time for bovine excrement in your marriages. Handle it. May feel uncomfortable, but you're a man. You're not seeking comfort. Third technique, we're dealing with this loaded question. How do you deal with that? All right, here's my response. Your question is loaded with assumptions that don't reflect reality. I'm not leaving anyone. I'm actively engaged in both households. Now, if you want to find a solution, no problem. Drop the assumptions. Let's get to it. Again, straightforward, right to the point. Let's go to the next one. Save some time. I didn't want this video to be that long, but let's get to the next one. That's false dichotomy. So what do we do here, Coach Nazir? Well, let me show you how to get your shit together with this. Look, you're preventing a false choice. Either I'm with one and I'm abandoning the other. That's not the case whatsoever. I balance both relationships, and I won't let manipulative framing change that. But if you want to discuss your concerns, no problem. We can absolutely do that as adults. Now, this last part, this appeal to empathy, the victimization card, really calling you into question about whether or not you actually care. All right, here you go. Here's the response. Questioning my empathy is just another tactic to have me go on the defensive, all right, and defend myself. I don't need to do that. I don't need to prove my emotional investment to anyone, especially you. You know that I make sure both of my homes are provided and cared for. So we're not going to put that on the table as though that's an issue. You know that. So let's talk about solutions without any games, and let's get to it. Boom. Those are the responses that I would suggest as best practices that allows you to call things out respectfully, to grow your family, to stand your masculine, and to not feel uncomfortable. You calling it out. Yeah, it doesn't feel good to hear that the one that you are sleeping with, your wife, that has your children and everything else, that has this vision that says she's going to be with you and help you and support you and everything else, what you're doing is calling you out and playing these games. I know, doesn't feel good, but you got to ride that. All right, you made the choice to practice polygyny. So there are different dynamics you're going to have to learn how to handle. And this is just one of them. See, now the other part is women might be like, well, you don't know what she's going through, how young the children are. You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. There could be postpartum depression. There could be postpartum psychosis if they're little babies, but we don't have enough of that information. So young children could be as young as my youngest, who's 6 years old at the time of this filming. Okay? And I'm not saying not watching children it couldn't be overwhelming. It can't be this and it can't be that. But what I can absolutely say as an adult trying to use emotional manipulation tactics, whether it's a man using them against a woman or a woman using it against a man, is problematic and deeply troubling to your relationship if you value it. Watch your tongue and trying to put stuff out here like that, because that's massively disrespectful. And if you want to lose rank with the man, disrespect him, see how long it's going to last. If you want to lose it even faster, disrespect him in public and see how long it's going to last. And as a man, if you want to go ahead and lose respect from your wife, then go ahead and not take care of your responsibilities. Go ahead and push it to the side. Not have her think it's pushed to the side, but actually have it easily measurable that it's put to the side. Like you're out gallivanting and doing all this kind of stuff and neglecting your family. So if you aren't properly equipped emotionally, financially, mentally to practice it, that's problematic. But this isn't about that. I'll go more into that when I talk about men in their situations and challenges and men that should not be practicing polygyny. But guess what? I'm also going to call the women out on their trash. And this post by this master emotional manipulator is trash. And those are 5 techniques. Did you get any more? And maybe they don't post it on social media. Maybe they say these types of things to your face. That's why you need to be aware as a man of it. Because when it comes with the waterworks especially, because if they think, oh, how do you sleep knowing that you're in them over with, and when all that kind of stuff goes out, you instantly feel uncomfortable because it's your desire to provide and protect. And you feel you're violating that. Therefore, now you have this shame and this guilt that is not warranted because she got you in the game. Learn the rules, play to win, grow, provide for your family, and bring that vision to fruition that they might not even see. They're not the leaders anyway. And make it better for everybody. Making sure you get your shit together. Now, I'm Coach Nazir. I help professionals and entrepreneurs develop confidence, connection, and courage without feeling disrespected or diminished, especially when they want to practice polygyny, by getting their shift together. With that being said, we left some links in the description, and I want you to go ahead and post which manipulation tactic did you find the most foul? Which one of the 5 did you find the most foul? Or did you find something else in here? Or maybe you might disagree with what I'm saying. Hey, you're human. I don't agree with myself from things I said 5, 10 years ago. That's called a process of growth. And I'm open. So post it in the comments below. Share this with someone you know may benefit. Because again, sharing is caring, like my wife say. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.